Hello everyone, welcome to A Clear Perspective. I'm Serene. Let's first talk about the latest Biden speech, which is a very unusual one. The speech, which took place on May 28th, was given by Biden in front of U.S. troops withdrawn from Afghanistan. In the speech, Biden spoke about Xi Jinping and made the following statements, which has been widely reported by the media. I've spent more time with President Xi of China than any world leader has. And for 24 hours of private meetings with just an interpreter, 17,000 miles traveling in China and here, he firmly believes that China, before the year 2035, is going to own America because autocracies can make quick decisions. Biden also said, "We are in a battle between democracies and autocracies. The more complicated the world becomes, the more difficult it is for democracies to come together and reach consensus." Years ago, Xi had already implicitly expressed the CCP's ambition to redefine the relationship between the two great powers, and eventually replaced the United States and established a new world order under communism. What is surprising is that Xi Jinping said this directly to the then Vice President Biden himself. 2035 has always been a visionary goal set by the Chinese Communist Party. According to their plan, China's economy will surpass that of the United States in 2035, and it will achieve so-called socialist modernization the same year. This is the first unusual point. No sane leader of a country would say this directly to the leader of another country. "I will own your country in a number of years." Xi was obviously in a state of extreme conceit and complacency when he said that. This also reveals two secrets. First, in Xi's eyes, at that time, Biden was an old man who posed no threat whatsoever, so Xi could make aggressive and almost insulting jokes. Second, the CCP openly talked about economically overtaking the U.S., but their true goal was to take over the U.S. through infiltration. These two are completely different, as the former is a normal competition, while the latter is an evil theft. Biden didn't mention how he responded to Xi at that time, but during the election, Biden once scoffed at the notion that the CCP threatened the U.S. He said in a speech on May 1st, 2019, "China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They are not bad folks. But guess what? They are not competition for us." But now, when Biden made public such a private conversation in front of the U.S. military, it shows he knew Xi was not joking and how serious the situation really was. On the other hand, the speech gives us a good reference to see what kind of perspective Xi Jinping is taking on the United States and the U.S.-China relationship. Actually, bringing down the United States has always been a systematic and consistent strategy of the Chinese Communist regime. The CCP was hiding it successfully before, until Xi Jinping ripped off the disguise and revealed their true purpose. At the same time, it is easy to understand what the Chinese Communist regime would do to the United States under such a consensus. I think that only when this is understood, Americans will truly understand that the problems of China and the U.S. are not between specific leaders. Replacing Xi Jinping won't solve the problems. If the CCP system does not completely disintegrate, whoever comes out on top of the CCP will be in accordance with the established track and continue down the same path. Let's now discuss recent news on the pandemic. First, the British media outlet, the Daily Mail, published a report on how COVID-19 has no credible natural ancestor. The report cites a paper written by two scientists. According to the paper, the CCP virus was created by taking a naturally occurring coronavirus from bats, then adding a new spike protein. The paper also claims that the CCP virus has no natural ancestor. I personally cannot come to a conclusion whether or not the virus is man-made. What we do know is that the CCP has been attempting to develop biological weapons through the use of virus hybridization. Therefore, regardless of how the virus came to be, we should rally together and force the CCP to give us information. Only by getting true first-hand information are we able to figure out how the virus actually came to be. I believe this is what the public should focus on. According to a report from the Daily Mail on Saturday, Biden ordered 17 Department of Energy labs to use their supercomputers in assisting the intelligence community for a 90-day investigation on whether COVID-19 originally leaked from a lab. Now, the U.S. government put the virus traceability investigation into a top priority position, so this U.S. investigation is a bit like a puzzle. It is hard to say what the end result will be, but previously, the Wuhan Institute of Virology had no cell phone activities at all across the institution for 2 weeks in fall 2019. This proves that big data analysis works and may lead to surprising findings. Just as the Chinese Communist Party tried desperately to cover up the death toll of the pandemic, 20 million cell phone numbers being cancelled within 3 months also gives us a glimpse at how tragic the pandemic was in China. Next, let's briefly discuss China's major policy shift in allowing 3 children instead of 1. The Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party held a meeting on May 31st. It proposed to further optimize the fertility policy by allowing a couple to have 3 children and implementing supporting measures. This news triggered an overwhelming condemnation in China from the left to the right. The Global Times, a state-owned daily newspaper, was forced to shut down their comment section. Why do people scold this policy? The family planning policy is the major cause. Many people record how it was when only 1 child was allowed per family. So many people suffered illnesses from forced abortion, and many families were left in debt due to penalties for having more than 1 child. In just a few years, the policy certainly turned around completely. No wonder some people posted and asked if they could get the heavy fines back. They'd only consider having more children when they get their money back. Of course, people know money is not the biggest issue. What's behind the unprecedented unanimous anger is the CCP's contempt and insult to the value of life reflected in its family planning policy. Think about it. If pigs no longer give birth in a pig farm, the owner would first check if the living conditions for the pigs are normal or need improvement, rather than forcing the pigs to give birth. The CCP's policy is treating the Chinese people worse than pigs. Some people used to say that the Chinese Communist Party's policy towards private enterprises is like raising pigs. Whoever grows fat would be killed. In fact, aren't ordinary Chinese people treated the same? In the early days, the CCP rejected the market economy, and the poverty was the highest political correctness. People were supposed to have meals through communal feeding, so no one was allowed to have more children, or there wouldn't be enough resources. Now that the CCP discovered the benefits of a market economy, it realized that the bigger the population, the more wealth for it to collect. So they instantly reversed their policy. But the motive behind both policies is the same: use the people to maximize their profit. Lastly, we would like to remind our viewers that our platform may be restricted on social media. We would like to recommend the YouMaker platform to everyone. Our videos are available on YouMaker. Please subscribe, and we hope to see you there. Thank you for your support. See you next time.